Welcome to Lesson 1 of Topic 1, Principles of Nutrition, Physiology and Health. In today's lesson, we're going to be looking at the energy in foods. Specifically, we're going to be looking at the macronutrient distribution range, the energy composition of macronutrients, and also the acceptable macronutrient distribution range. So let's start by looking at the energy in foods. So specifically macronutrients, these are large compounds or molecules that are labeled as carbohydrates, fats and proteins, and these provide the body with different amounts of energy. So the body's preferred source of energy is carbohydrates, and they provide the body with 16.7 kilojoules of energy per 1 gram. Whilst lipids provide the body with the most amount of energy, it is important to not get those confused. So fats provide the body with 37.7 kilojoules of energy. However, carbohydrates are the most preferred source of energy. Okay. Now, whilst the table does have these in decimal forms, you'll need to round these to the nearest whole number when you're doing calculations for energy distribution in a serving of food. So carbohydrates at 16.7 will then be bumped up to 17 kilojoules per gram. Protein 16.7 will also be bumped up to 17 kilojoules per gram. Now, interesting enough, lipids we just leave at 37.7. So make sure to leave your lipids at 37. Okay. Now, when the body consumes these sort of molecules, so carbohydrates, fats, or proteins, the energy is provided when through digestion, so either mechanical or chemical, the bonds between the molecules are completely broken down and the energy is released. We will be talking about that in another video later, but just keep in mind that that is how the energy is released from food products. Okay. So next, we're going to quickly have a look at how to calculate the sort of energy composition of these macronutrients. So I have linked another video below where I specifically go through this explanation in more detail, and I run through specific examples of each one in detail. But the essential thing to understand when calculating the energy composition of macronutrients is this formula. So you're going to need to know the grams of how many grams of that macronutrient is in a serving of food, as well as remembering the amount of energy provided from 1 gram of that macronutrient. So looking at the nutritional information panel here, you can see that carbohydrates provide, well, in this example, there are 27.5 grams of carbohydrates. We know that carbohydrates give us 17 kilojoules of energy per 1 gram. So we take the grams, 27.5, and times that by the kilojoules, so 17. That will give us 467.5, but we round that up to 468 kilojoules per gram. Now, if you're feeling a little bit confused, pause this video now, go and click on the link below and watch this video on how to calculate these, and it will be in more detail with more examples. Okay, so now we're going to be looking at the energy distribution. I have a video that is linked in below as well that specifically goes through how to calculate the energy distribution using examples, but I'm just going to run through now with you the formula. So you need to know for energy distribution, basically we're turning it into a percentage of each energy-eating nutrient in a serving of food. So you need to know the amount of energy provided per macronutrient. So for example, carbohydrates provide us with 468 from the chickpeas with roast pumpkin example. And the total energy, which is all 3 macronutrients added up together, is 1,437. So you get the 468 and you divide it by the 1,437. And that then gives you an answer of 0.325. Times that by 100, and that will give you 32.5%, but you will also need to round this to the nearest whole number, so 33%. So 33% of your energy from that 1 serving of chickpeas with roast pumpkin comes from carbohydrates. Now, we can use these percentages to compare it to the acceptable macronutrient distribution range for Australians, okay? So that is also known as the AMDR. So in this table here, I have got each different macronutrient along with the percentage of energy derived from that 1 serving of chickpeas with roast pumpkin. I'm then going to compare it to the AMDR. So you can see here that in the AMDR pie chart, that carbohydrates should account for 45 to 65% of your energy from a serving of food and throughout the day. Proteins should account for between 15 and 25%, whilst lipids should be around about 20 to 35. Really low in the saturated fat in that little section of that table. Now, when you're looking at comparing the amount of energy in a serving of food against the AMDR, we can then use that to make recommendations. So you can see here that the chickpea with roast pumpkin provides 33% of energy from carbohydrates and is not within the suitable range of 45 to 65%. The person that's eating this food needs to increase their carbohydrate intake for other meals during the day. You can see here that proteins is at 12%, which is under the AMDR, even the lower end of the acceptable macronutrient distribution range. So they would also need to increase their protein throughout the day. Lipids, however, are at 55%, which is 20% over the recommended, like the upper level of that recommended macronutrient distribution range. So the person that's eating this meal needs to decrease the amount of lipids they consume throughout the rest of the day and make educated selections of their food. So this is really helpful when we're trying to sort of recommend changes to someone's diet or changes to if someone comes to you, a patient comes to you with high cholesterol or high blood pressure, how can you use the AMDR along with analysing their food intake to then provide them with some recommendations. So I hope this all made sense, and again, go back and watch those other videos if you need extra help. Thanks.